Okay, my friend, if you are here, you're probably feeling a little bit anxious about getting your Glacier reservations for 2023. I am here to put you at ease. I will help make sure that you can get these reservations so that you can get to all of the places in Glacier that you're hoping to get to during your vacation. My name is Ash. I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes, and I am really good at navigating these reservation systems. So I'm kind of a nerd this way. I think it's really interesting and fun. And so I am here to walk you through everything you need to know about Glacier reservations in 2023 and to help make sure that you can get what you need. So let's jump in. There's a lot of information to go over. If at any point you feel like you're ready to move forward, or if there's a reservation I'm talking about that you don't think you're going to need for your trip, then you'll find in the video description where you can jump ahead to what you need. So feel free to do that so that you can get the most out of this video. Okay, so let's start by looking at the map of Glacier National Park. So I am here on the Glacier website, and they do have a specific page about this vehicle reservation system, but I find for most people it's pretty overwhelming, especially if you've never been to the park before. There's just a ton of information here, and it probably doesn't make much sense if you're not familiar with the area. So let's talk you through. Basically, Glacier is requiring 4 different reservations this year, and I have some thoughts about this. I understand why they're doing it, but at the same time, to ask you to get 4 different reservations is a little excessive if you ask me. So let's try to condense it and make it into something that you can feel confident in. But looking at the map, these are the 4 different reservations that you need. So we have the North Fork. This is the northwestern part of the park. This is if you want to go up to, there's a few really beautiful lakes up here. Bowman Lake is one of my favorites. There's a couple of campgrounds in this area, like really primitive ones. And so this area it's beautiful. It is a little further removed from much of the main parts of Glacier. And then you have Many Glacier. And this is a really popular area of the park. It is one of my favorites. It is so good for seeing wildlife. The mountain views here are just so incredible, and it has some of the best longer hiking trails in the park. So that's an area that I highly, highly recommend you try to get to if you have time. Another one is To Medicine, and so this is, you can see it's a very small area down in here. It is pretty far removed from everywhere else. So again, you know, with these 3, they're not connecting to any other part of the park. So you're going in for the day in most cases and enjoying a day there. And so that's To Medicine. And then you've got the Going to the Sun Road, which is the main corridor for the park. This is what takes you over and through and across. And so this reservation, the Going to the Sun Road reservation, is the main one that you'll want. This is where you'll find most of the trailheads and most of the interesting things to do in the park. And this reservation is good for 3 days. Again, because there is just so much to do. You can spend some time on the west side, on the east side. You've got a lot of options along the Going to the Sun Road. Okay, so those are the 4 reservations that you need. And as you can see, you know, that covers the entirety of the park. So there really isn't a space for you to go in Glacier if you don't have a reservation. You will need either the reservation or you'll need to bypass that reservation somehow, which we'll talk about. But you need a reservation to get to these parts of the park. And so let's talk about them each individually. I'll talk about the ins and outs of each one, and then I will walk you through the process of getting an actual reservation. Okay, so the first reservation that I want to talk about is the Going to the Sun Road reservation. This is the big one. This one is for 3 consecutive days, and it is what is going to allow you to drive across the entire park. And so along the Going to the Sun Road, this is where you'll find Lake McDonald, Avalanche Lake, Logan Pass, that's where the Highline Trail is, and the Hidden Lake Overlook, St. Mary Falls, the Jackson Glacier Overlook, Wild Goose Island. All of these kind of really iconic spots in Glacier are typically found along the Going to the Sun Road. Now, because the reservation process wasn't already complicated enough, they added in a little bit more complication to this Going to the Sun Road reservation. So looking at the map, you'll see that you can come in and access the Going to the Sun Road over here on the west side of the park. You can also access it over here on the east side of the park near St. Mary. And if you're coming in from the west side of the park, then you will need a reservation from May 26th until September 10th. So May 26th is when that starts, from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's coming in the west side. That's the side most people come in on. That's the side that is closer to Kalispell and Whitefish. You've got some bigger towns out there. A lot of people enter Glacier through the west side. And so that side does require you to have reservations for longer, starting earlier in the season. Okay, the east side. Let's take a look at the east side over here. This side, if you're entering, you only need a reservation from July 1st through September 10th. So the east side starting July 1st, the west side starting May 26th. And so again, it's a little bit more complicated, but if you're coming in the east side, say if you want to come to the park the end of June, you can come through the east side without a reservation, but you cannot come through the west side without a reservation. The reason being the east side is just a lot quieter. There is not as many lodging options on this side. The road stays closed for a good portion on this side for longer. It takes them longer to clear out the snow on this side. And so starting in July, is really when it starts to pick up on the east side of the park. Okay, these reservations are opening on a block schedule this year. So this is a little bit different than what they've done in the past. But basically, they're opening reservations up on either February 1st, March 1st, April 1st, or May 1st at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. And you do need to be there exactly at 8 a.m. on the date that it opens up if you really want a great shot at getting a reservation. And so do try to be there. If it's already past the date that you needed, then you will need to go back and do a last minute reservation, which we will talk about as I'm walking you through the reservation process. But be aware that you will want to try to get there that 120 days in advance, basically, on that opening schedule. And you can see that schedule here on the website. And so if you come down here and you come to this, how do I get a vehicle reservation? Then they will have the schedule right down here. And so they have open some February 1st. That's today. That's what I'm going to show you, the screen share of me getting those reservations. But then March 1st, they will open all dates for July. April 1st will be all dates for August. And May 1st will be all dates for September, which just goes through September 10th. Beyond September 10th, you don't need one. Before May 26th, you don't need one. So that release schedule is really important to look at, pay attention to, make sure that you know what day you need to be online getting those tickets. So where most of the confusion comes in around this Going to the Sun Road reservation and the other 3 reservations as well is really when it comes to if you've already booked your lodging along the Going to the Sun Road, or if you've already booked an activity and you're thinking, oh, well, it says that I can book an activity or lodging and that will count for my reservation. And that's true to a point, and this is where it really gets confusing for people. So again, coming to this website, I want to show you this list. So it says, do I need a vehicle reservation if I booked a hotel or a campsite? And looking through this list, you'll see a big, long list of what you can book that will get you in lieu of this reservation. And so, you can see, you can do horseback riding, you can do a boat tour, you can do red bus tours. There are some good options here. But where people are making the biggest mistake is thinking that if I book one of these things on this list, then that will get me into the whole park. That's just not true. And so if you book your lodging in the park, it will only get you into that part of the park. That's all that your reservation will cover. And so if you book your lodging along the Going to the Sun Road, then you can access the Going to the Sun Road for the number of days that you have a lodging reservation. But you can't go anywhere else in the park with that reservation. You still have to get the other 3 reservations if you're wanting to go to those other areas. And so that goes for like the boat tour. A lot of people get confused about the boat tour. If you book a boat tour on Lake McDonald, then that will get you onto the Going to the Sun Road for that day, but it won't get you anywhere else. So a boat tour on Lake McDonald will not allow you to enter the park at Mini Glacier. So you will want to pay really close attention to where you have booked those activities and that lodging, and recognize that it will only get you into that area, not any of the other areas. That is the biggest source of confusion, and it is confusing because, when you're making your reservation, if you're not familiar with the park and the layout and how everything works, it's really easy to get confused there. But you will want to just note that you have to have booked for that specific area for you to be able to get in there. If you haven't booked lodging or an activity in Mini Glacier, then you won't be able to get into Mini Glacier without this extra reservation. And that's for the Going to the Sun Road, that's for all of them. And so that's why I say, start with the Going to the Sun Road. Make sure you can get either a Going to the Sun Road reservation that I am outlining here, or book your lodging along the Going to the Sun Road, or book an activity along the Going to the Sun Road, so that you can ensure that you're able to access this road at some point during your trip. The lodging reservation you make will only get you onto the Going to the Sun Road for those days that you're staying in that lodging, and the activity reservation that you make will only get you into the park at the Going to the Sun Road in lieu of this reservation for the day that you booked it. And so if you're only doing a boat tour, you're only able to get onto the Going to the Sun Road that one day, not the 3 that you would get if you go through the traditional reservation process. I know this is a lot of information, so I hope you'll stick with me here as I walk you through everything. But if at any point you feel like you need more clarification, you can leave a comment on this video and I'll try to answer it. Or if you really want like some help exactly laying out when you'll need which reservation and how to get them, and what I would do to, help make sure you can get everything that you need, then you'll want to check out the Glacier itinerary on Dirt in My Shoes. That allows me to give you a lot more information regarding what I personally would do to navigate this reservation system. One last thing for the Going to the Sun Road reservation. A lot of people have been concerned because if you go to the Glacier website, you will see there is an alert here that says that the Going to the Sun Road has a construction closure on the west side of the park. This construction closure, it was there last year and it created a lot of problems for people. Everybody was just like trying to navigate part of the road being closed and still getting onto the Going to the Sun Road. So basically this construction closure started like right here and went all the way up on the west side. So you weren't able to get into the park before 6 a.m. You'll notice, all of these reservations are for the hours between 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. And so if you enter the park outside of those times, then you don't need a reservation. You can just go in. And so a lot of people were going in before 6 a.m. trying to get into the park before reservations were necessary. But with this construction closure, it was closing this side of the park, so you weren't able to get in before 6 a.m. That created a lot of problems for people, especially for people who didn't get the reservation and were counting on getting into the park before that reservation was needed. And so that construction closure, there's still an alert on the website saying that that area of the park is still under construction, but they are hopefully planning on being done with that in May. At which point, we'll kind of have to assess and see. They might let us in before 6 a.m. on that west side, or they may have another project in the works. This construction project may get delayed due to weather or other things. And so you'll want to pay close attention to the Glacier website and kind of watch that and make sure that that west side is going to be open before 6 a.m. this year. We think so, but we're not entirely sure. As a side note, there is almost always construction in Glacier during the summer months. That's construction season. A lot of times that's the only time they can really get in there and do stuff. And so even if I don't mention it here in this video, there is a good chance that there will be construction somewhere in the park that might affect the hours and the reservation process when you actually get there. So again, make sure you're checking up on the Glacier website or get a Glacier itinerary from Dirt in My Shoes, and I will make sure that I am on top of that for you. All right, now let's jump to the other 3 reservations. These are one-day reservations, and so that includes the North Fork, Many Glacier, and Two Medicine. So starting with the North Fork, this is, looking at the map, again, this is the northwestern part of the park. It is a little further removed, but it is beautiful. I love going up to Bowman Lake and kayaking. It is so nice. So let's talk about the North Fork. You will need a reservation at the North Fork area of the park from May 26th to September 10th from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. So this reservation is good for one day, and it is extremely limited. The number of people that they're letting in there is really small. So it is a challenge to get this one, but if you're able to get it, then you will be treated to less crowds and beautiful views in this area. Looking at the Glacier website, this is where you will find that schedule, again, for this specific reservation. It's on the same schedule as the Going to the Sun Road, so if you're hoping to visit Glacier on August 3rd, then your reservations will open on April 1st at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, and you will want to be there exactly at 8 a.m. Mountain Time to try to snatch that up. Now, the North Fork area is a little bit unique in that there really aren't very many ways to get around this reservation. So you can enter the park before 6 a.m. up through the Pole Bridge Ranger Station. You've got to be all the way up there before 6 a.m. or after 3 p.m. There aren't any lodging options as far as like hotels and things within that entrance area. You can stay in Pole Bridge, but that won't get you in through the ranger station. So you will still need this reservation. The one exception to that is if you're hoping to camp in this area. These campsites up in here are first come, first serve. But what you can do is you can drive up to the ranger station and tell them that you're hoping to camp. And if they have anything available, then they'll assign you a campsite right there at the ranger station and then let you on through without this reservation. So that's one way kind of around having to get the reservation in advance. If you're not able to get this reservation in advance, you could go up and ask for a campsite. You would need to be there pretty early in the morning to get one. They will go fast, but the rangers there at the ranger station can assign one to you if there's anything available, and then they'll let you on through. All right, now for the Many Glacier Reservation. Looking at the map, this is this area of the park here. It's on the east side up towards, like, this is Canada right up in here. And so you're at the very top of Glacier on the east side. And Many Glacier, as I mentioned before, is one of the best places in the park to see wildlife. It has some of the park's best hiking trails, some really good long ones that will get you up to the glaciers and get you up in the mountains. And so it really is a worthwhile destination, even though it is a little bit further removed and harder to get to. This Many Glacier reservation is required from July 1st through September 10th from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. So again, you can go in before 6, you can go in after 3, as long as there's no construction closures or anything that comes up between now and when the summer season starts. And so that's one way to get in. The other way is to get this reservation which will allow you into the park during those hours. Another way is to stay in one of the lodges in that area. There are a few options that are really good options that you can book, and then that will get you into Mini Glacier for the duration of your lodging reservation. Another thing that's really popular to do up here is horseback riding or taking a boat tour. Now, again, if you're going to horseback ride or take a boat tour, then they do need to be scheduled specifically for the Mini Glacier area if you're hoping to get into this part of the park. So if you book horseback riding anywhere else in the park, you can't get into Mini Glacier with that. You need to book it for the stables, specifically in Mini Glacier. And that's true for the boat tour as well. You need to book the actual Swift Current Lake Mini Glacier boat tour to be able to use that as your entrance reservation. I recommend booking the boat tour anyway. It's one of the best ways to see Mini Glacier, and so that's a really easy way to kind of bypass this reservation system. And the reservation system here on that I'll walk you through here in a minute is that will only get you a pass good for one day. So these are one-day passes. Again, you'll have to get one for each day that you're hoping to be in there, or make a lodging or an activity reservation in that area. On the website here, you'll see more information about Mini Glacier. It also has 2 Medicine in the same spot. But again, if you come down here, then you'll see that block release schedule. They have the links to where to go to get those reservations. So if you're hoping to go on September 2nd, for example, then your reservations will open up on May 1st at 8 a.m. And if you want to see a list of what you can book for this specific area, so you'll see this is your options for Mini Glacier. These are your options for 2 Medicine. And so if you are not able to get a reservation through Recreation.gov, then these are your options that you'll want to look at to bypass that reservation and to still be able to get into that area. And lastly, the 4th and final reservation that Glacier is offering this year is the 2 Medicine Reservation. Looking at the map, 2 Medicine is this area down here. It's a really short road that takes you in here to the foot of 2 Medicine Lake. And so this is a very small area. This reservation is good for one day, and you will need it from July 1st through September 10th. If you're hoping to enter between 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. 2 Medicine is a really beautiful part of the park. It's similar to the Mini Glacier area. You'll get similar views, lots of wildlife, some really nice long hiking trails. It's really small. There's not very much by way of like amenities or anything like that. You will find a few things in that area and just right outside of it in East Glacier. So, but this reservation is good for one day, and most people just come here for the day just to see what they can see, and then they'll leave and go see something else. So this is a one-day reservation. If you're planning on going to 2 Medicine, I would recommend booking the boat tour anyway. And so yes, you can go through this reservation process and get your one-day reservation for 2 Medicine, but I would just book the boat tour, and then that will count as your reservation to get in. I really like the 2 Medicine boat tour. They take you across 2 Medicine Lake. They'll drop you off on the other side, and then there's some really great hiking options on that side of the lake. And so one of my favorites, I love hiking to the waterfall, but I love going beyond it to Upper 2 Medicine Lake. It is so beautiful. Okay, so just to recap real quick, Glacier is requiring 4 different reservations. The Going to the Sun Road reservation, in my opinion, is the one that you will just want to absolutely make sure that you have secured, that you're able to get into that area by either booking a reservation on Recreation.gov, which I will show you next, or by booking your lodging along that road or booking activities along that road. Beyond that, after you get your Going to the Sun Road reservation secured, then that's when I would start looking at the other outlying areas and figuring out ways to get in there. So you're either making your reservation for those outlying areas on Recreation.gov, which again, I will show you here in a minute, or you're booking your lodging or an activity in that specific area to get you in for the day. All right, now for the exciting part, let's head over to the Recreation.gov website where I will walk you through the process of securing your Glacier reservations. Okay, so these reservations open up at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, and what you're going to want to do is go to Recreation.gov and you'll want to log in. Please make your account in advance. Don't try to do it the day of because you never know what's going on with the website. It can be glitchy, it can be slow on the day of, and so it's better to do this a couple days in advance. Make your account. Have whoever is coming with you. So if you have another adult in the car with you that's coming to Glacier, then have them make an account and try for a pass as well. That will double your chances of getting what you need. So definitely do that. It does have to be an adult and they do have to be in the vehicle to get in. So, you can't just have a random friend do it. It needs to be someone who's going with you. Anyway, we're gonna come over here and we're gonna search for Glacier. And you'll see you can go to Glacier National Park just in general, but I see these Glacier National Park vehicle reservations. So I'm gonna click there, that's what I want. Okay, now I'm on here about 10 minutes early. I like to come around 7:50. I like to get logged in. I like to make sure I get to the page that I want to be at so that I'm ready to book exactly at 8 a.m. when things open up. So if you scroll down here, you'll see you have 4 different options. These are the 4 different passes that you can get. And today while I'm doing this, the only ones that are going to be open are the Going to the Sun Road and the North Fork, because I'm doing this for dates in June. The Many Glacier and the 2 Medicine open up for July, and so those will be released next month. So I won't show you these 2, but it will be extremely similar, basically the exact same process to get one of these 2 as it will to get one of these 2. So I'll show you the first 2, and then if you want to add on Many Glacier or 2 Medicine because you're going in July or August or September, then you'll be able to do that when you log on and try to get your own pass. Okay, for now I'm going to start with the Going to the Sun Road reservation. Because this is a 3-day reservation, this really for me is like the one that you definitely want to get, and then if you can get these other ones, great, but I would start here. And you'll come in and you'll see if I click on the date and I go over to the dates that are opening, you'll see all of these say NR not yet released. And so if you're not doing this exactly when everything gets released, if you're doing this last minute or you've missed the major release, when you come in to get tickets, if you see not released and then you hover over it, it will tell you when that date will be released. So that's really important. If you come in here and you're just seeing like a bunch of yellow or this weird orangey color and saying NR, hover over it and see what it says. This one says this will be released February 1st at 8 a.m. That's today. They're going to release all of these today. If you see anything that is blue and available, then that means that the initial release has already happened, but not everything has been snatched up yet. So that, that's great. If you can see some blue on there, hurry and snatch it up. But in general, probably you're going to see a lot of these not released. So just hover over, see what date it says that it will be released, and then mark that in your calendar so that you come back and get the reservation that you need. This is a per vehicle reservation, and so this one will always just be 1, but you can go ahead and set that in advance. And then at this point, we're just kind of sitting here, and I'm gonna watch the clock for when the clock turns to 8 o'clock exactly. Then I'm gonna hurry as quickly as I can, choose my date, and request my ticket. And so at this point, I'm on the screen I need to be on, and I am just waiting for 8 o'clock to roll around. Okay, it's 7:59. This process is a little nerve-wracking, isn't it? I'm feeling a little stressed, and I'm not even going to Glacier and needing these reservations right now. But yeah, it feels a little stressful. And they're releasing all the tickets for the 1 block. And so if you're trying to get multiple reservations, you're gonna have to be really quick. So as soon as that clock turns 8, I'm gonna be there for it. And here we go. Okay, get over there. Okay, these are available. I'm going June 23rd, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can only choose the one window, and then I'm adding it to my cart, and there it is. Okay, so I'm gonna go through this as quickly as I can. Proceed to cart, make sure it's in there. Okay, and then I'm going to continue shopping. If you need other reservations for your trip, then you're gonna have to go through this process again. I'm gonna do this as quickly as I can. I wanna try to get the North Fork. Let's see, I got my Going to the Sun starting on the 23rd. Let's do the North Fork for the 26th, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Add to cart, and there it is. Okay, so then if you're wanting to do this again for many Glacier or 2 Medicine, then you'll just, put it in your cart, make sure it's there, and then hit the continue shopping button and go through the whole process again and try to snatch those up. So as you can see, because I was here right at 8 o'clock, it really wasn't too bad. I was able to get what I needed just fine. And so that's really the trick, I think, is just making sure you're all set up beforehand, making sure you're logged in, that as soon as that clock turns to 8 o'clock, you're able to snatch up what you need and get it in your cart as quickly as possible. So here we go. I have my Going to the Sun for 3 days. So you can see this is good through the 23rd through the 25th. And then I got the North Fork for the 26th, which this isn't for a real trip. Probably for the North Fork, you'll actually want to get that one for a date that you already have the Going to the Sun so that you can get in there and get up to the North Fork easily. Because I just randomly picked a date, I didn't think that through. But this one, that will overlap with these dates probably. So keep that in mind. I did not think about that, but there you go. We all make mistakes. Okay, and then at that point, once I make sure it looks good, then I'm going to proceed to payment. You also need a pass to visit this park. Yes, so this is the entrance fee. This is the pass that you have to show, like if you have an America the Beautiful pass or if you have an annual pass for the park. But this is one that you can purchase at the park. When you get there, when you go through the entrance booth, then you can just purchase this pass. And so I don't ever prepay it just because I never know, like my plans might change. I might not end up even going to the park, in which case I wouldn't need this. You have to do the reservation part of it, like the Going to the Sun Road reservation. You have to do that online, but the entrance pass itself does not need to be done online. That can be done in person. And so I have a lot of people asking me this question. They'll put in, I need to buy a pass. And then, so this will give you the chance for an annual pass or for just the 7-day pass to get into the park. You do not need to do this. I wouldn't do this in advance. It will ask for your license plate number, and a lot of people are renting cars and don't know their license plate number. So I would just skip. Even if you already have a pass, there's no reason. Yeah, see, it will tell you, just bring it with you. Skip it. You can do it when you go through the entrance station. Okay, and then it will take you to your payment page. This is where you'll put in your information, your credit card, and you'll actually finish out the reservation. When you finish the reservation, then you will get an email, and it's just a receipt that shows that you paid the $2 per reservation, the $4. And then you will get another email that actually has your vehicle reservation on it. And so that's the email that you need to print out and take with you. You can screenshot it on your phone. I like to have a hard copy because you never know when your phone's not going to work for you. I like to just have like a physical copy as well, just to be sure. But that is the email that you'll really want to look for, is the one that actually has the vehicle reservation on it. That's the one you'll need to take and show to the rangers when you get to the park. I'm going to exit out of all this because I don't need these reservations. I'll release those for people who do. But that's basically the process that you'll go through. And so again, like if you start with one, but you want additional reservations because there are 4 different places you need reservations for, then you're moving as quickly as you can through these to try to get exactly what you need. So in advance, know which dates you're gonna need, which reservations, have that all figured out before the clock turns to 8 o'clock. You'll want to know exactly what you need so that you can move quickly and get exactly the reservations that you're hoping for. Okay, now just for fun, I'm jumping back to this main page. I wanna show you what it looks like when things start to fill up. And so let's go back into the Going to the Sun. I'm gonna click over to the dates and I wanna show you so you can see, and I've already released mine back into the wild, but I got my Going to the Sun corridor just barely for the 23rd of June, and that date is already sold out. So these ones that are gray here, these are just sold out, and on the day that they release, they'll probably look like this. But in the future, even as early as tomorrow, these dates will switch over to the not yet released color, that weird orange color. And then you can hover over these and then it will say, like if I hover over the 29th, it will say not yet released. The next release it's going to be June 28th at 8 a.m. So you can get these the day before, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it's going to give it another release date. And so if you get on here again and you're seeing a bunch of orange and you missed the initial release, then when you hover over it, it will tell you the next release. If there is not a next release and everything has been taken, like it's completely sold out, then it will stay this gray color. So you can see for the Going to the Sun, these are starting to get filled up pretty quickly. This last week in June, especially because everybody's trying to get in here as close to July as possible when the Going to the Sun road usually opens. Sometimes the road is open this week, but sometimes not. So anyway, that's why those ones are going a little quicker. But I want to show you the North Fork ones. Okay, so you can see there's only one date left in May, and a good portion of June is already sold. And they're not doing very many of these. Oh, that one's already gone too. So some of these that say available are already gone as well. Wow, I think all of them are gone. These ones will have day before release as well. And so you do have another shot to get that. Like I said, these gray ones will switch over to that orange color and will have another release as it gets closer to these dates. But you can see how quickly those went because it's only been a few minutes past 8 o'clock. I already got the ones that I needed because I was here right at 8 o'clock. But holy smokes, these ones, they're gone. Nope, nothing. Okay, so even if it's showing available and you click on it and it says there's nothing available, that's because it just hasn't been updated to reflect that it's gone. But I don't see a single date in here that has anything. And these ones, they're only doing a few. These are very small amounts for North Fork, to Medicine, and Mini Glacier. You can't fit a lot of people in those areas anyway. But yeah, I just thought it would be interesting to come back and show you kind of what it looks like and how quickly these things go, because it really has only been 5 minutes past 8 o'clock and all of these are already snatched up for the advanced dates. So if you come back in, you've missed this advanced reservation opening and you're coming in late, then there's a really good chance there's not going to be anything available for you. And so you'll need to hover over the date and see when it says the next release is, and then you do need to be there exactly when they open. As we've seen with these North Fork ones, they're gone. All right, so I mentioned that, those reservations go really fast, and I don't know what it's going to look like when you get online to Recreation.gov to secure your reservation. Hopefully you're able to get in there during that advanced release period, the 120 days in advance, right at 8 a.m. so that you can snatch up what you need. But if this is more of a last minute trip or you weren't aware that you needed a reservation early enough in advance, and you're hoping to still be able to get a reservation even though the initial release is already passed, let's talk about what you can do to either bypass these reservations or get the reservation that you need. Okay, so firstly, Glacier is releasing some last-minute reservations on Recreation.gov. So if you go to Recreation.gov, you can go through the entire process I just walked you through the day before you need it. And so if you are hoping to visit Glacier and get on the Going to the Sun Road, for example, let's say on July 31st, then on July 30th, you'll want to go to Recreation.gov at 8 a.m. and go through that process again and hopefully snatch something up that way. So, that's pretty close to the date that you'll need it. It's just one day in advance at 8 a.m. that morning. And so make sure you're there for that if you're not able to get those advanced release reservations. The other thing you can do if you're not able to get a reservation is you can either enter the park before 6 a.m. or after 3 p.m. So for all of these 4 reservations, before 6 a.m. or after 3 p.m., they won't be checking for the reservations anymore. I mentioned when I was talking about the Going to the Sun Road reservations that they did do construction on one side and you weren't able to enter before 6 a.m. In 2022. And that really screwed a lot of people over because a lot of people who didn't get reservations were like, oh, well, I'll just go in before 6. And then when that option was taken away because of the construction, it really left a lot of people scrambling to figure out other ways to get into the park. So although the construction supposedly should be done by the summertime when all of this starts to happen, we really don't know, and they probably don't really know at Glacier either. And so, planning on being in the park before 6 a.m. or after 3 p.m. is an okay strategy, but it's not as reliable as the rest of these strategies. And so I wouldn't necessarily go into it having that be your only plan. I would try to make at least another, a plan B in case they do decide to do construction in the area, or in case they do put in some closures for some reason. Another thing you can do to get around needing these reservations is you can bike into the park, or you can take the free park shuttle through the park. So those are a couple of options. If you come in on foot, you can do that. It's really easy to do on the east side of the park. The shuttle picks up right from the St. Mary Visitor Center, and you don't even pass the reservation checkpoint at that point. So you can just drive right into the Visitor Center without needing a reservation. On the west side of the park is where it gets a little bit more complicated because they are checking those reservations before you can get to the Visitor Center where the shuttle picks up. And so you need to find a way to get into the Visitor Center area without a reservation. There's some private shuttle companies you can hire out the west entrance that will take you in to the Visitor Center where you can then pick up the free Glacier shuttle. But that side of the park is a little bit more complicated when it comes to trying to bypass that reservation system. Okay, and the last thing that you can do if you're not able to get the Glacier reservations that you need to bypass this system, you can book a service or an activity in that specific area. So don't forget, it has to be in that specific area to get you into that part of the park. But Glacier has a lot of different options, a lot of horseback riding, guided hikes, red bus tours, boat tours. There's a lot of options in that way. Or if you can get a campground reservation, if you can get a lodging reservation, those will be what will help you bypass the need for this extra reservation on Recreation.gov. Whew. We did it. That was a really long video, but I hope it was helpful for you trying to figure out what you need for Glacier reservations in 2023. Again, if all of this just feels too overwhelming for you and you're hoping to have more help, I can lay out exactly like what days you'll need what reservations with my Glacier itinerary. So not only will you have an hour-by-hour schedule of getting through the park with this itinerary, but I will also make sure that you're aware of what reservations you need, specifically how to get them or how to bypass them, And also, when construction closures come up or when weather-related closures come up, then I will walk you through how to navigate those and changes that you might need to make to your plan to successfully see the park despite all the things that always tend to come up during the summer months. So check out the Glacier itinerary on Dirt in My Shoes if you need more help. I also have a few other great videos for Glacier, including a full trip planning guide if you're a first-time visitor to Glacier, and you'll find that right here on YouTube. I hope that you have a great vacation, and I hope you're able to get the reservations that you need.